Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. I am Marq Antini, Darrk-66, and welcome to my newest movie. This movie is all about modeling, fashion, tips, tricks, techniques that you use in the modeling world, whether you are a professional or whether you are doing it amateurly. Alright, so let's get into this. The first thing that I have listed in this movie is I had a request recently to work with someone who was under the age of 18. And the answer is no, I do not work with anyone under the age of 18. I do require an ID if you want to shoot with me. This is all about serious modeling. I'm not turning away anyone who is under the age of 18. If you are under the age of 18, you can obviously watch my videos. But if you ever wanted to work with me in a shoot, you have to be over the age of 18. Okay, so that's out of the way. The first thing that we're jumping into here is eyebrows. Okay, this is a really hot topic because I can honestly say in so many words, in so many ways, in my shoots, that it would be something that I wasn't really focused on purpose, because of a lot of different reasons. One, here on my portfolio and on my YouTube channel, I'm not wearing any makeup, so I openly show my flaws. That's number one. Number two is, as you can see, I did my eyebrows myself. I'm really not the best at it. And with that being said, I'm going to segue into my point of this with my eyebrows. I am not a makeup artist. A model is to be focused on the modeling. When it comes to something really important like eyebrows, now I'm not saying that they aren't very important, I'm saying that they are very important. If you are getting paid for this in any capacity, you will have somebody doing your makeup, doing your hair, doing your eyebrows, possibly shaving your face, etc., etc. So this is an openly apologetic response to eyebrows. No matter what, you don't want them to be too small going into a photo shoot. So I would say, like, don't touch them until you actually get there. As you can see, I'm not the best eyebrow artist myself, but one thing I do know is you definitely do not want to not have eyebrows when you are going to a photo shoot. Meaning, like, I see some females painting on their eyebrows. I know that that's a thing. I'm not saying that that can never be done in a photo shoot. I'm not saying that women don't wear their eyebrows like that. I would say for modeling, this is an openly apologetic response for my own eyebrows, but the response here is let it go. Just let them stay in your own lane. Worry about modeling. Think about modeling. Don't get caught up in what size your eyebrows are, because honestly, throughout my life, I've had people say that my eyebrows look better thicker. I've had people say my eyebrows look better thinner. It's really up to the makeup artist. This could be debated for weeks on end, years on end, how your eyebrows are supposed to look. Really, as a model, just leave it in somebody else's hands. And I openly apologize for my eyebrows not being the best they could be. But again, I'm a model. I'm not a makeup artist. So do what you can with your eyebrows. Okay, another quick tip. If you want to grow your hair, okay, let's segue into the next like thing, like hair. Okay, so like hair is always good to be moldable. If you're too extreme on one end of the spectrum, like your hair is very, very long, or it's very, very short, like it could kind of like put you out of the mix, kind of. When you go to audition, you want to show like everything you got. My hair right now is like right kind of in the middle. It's not long and it's not short, but it's just kind of like puff or whatever. But the point I'm trying to make about that is it's moldable. Same thing with the eyebrows. So the eyebrows kind of segue into the hair. Me personally, the company that I'm working for, Dark South Limited, you know, I speak to them. I speak to the people around me in Dark South constantly, and we're like, okay, we like the long hair look. Okay, we're gonna go with that. We're not going for a buzz cut. Okay, we're gonna leave the eyebrows. That'll be an openly apologetic thing. Like, we're talking in a sense of you're going to an audition. Like, you're going to an audition for a pro modeling shoot and they have to choose you out of 300 other models. That's what this applies for. So, everything that I do isn't, you're not supposed to hang on to every word per se, but take it as you will and use it to your advantage. In terms of like auditioning, you can wear anything just as long as it flows. Like, you don't want to be like a mosh posh, like, oh, I'm just making this big confused fashion statement that doesn't really make sense and I'm wearing all these different styles at once. Like, that's cool if the company says that they want that. Besides that, stick to things that matches. Stick to things that match. A lot of times for auditions, I've done like button-down shirts, black t-shirts. That never really fails. It accentuates your features. It shows them what you're working with. Stick to black shirts, black t-shirts. Let me just clear the air a little bit. I was talking like to Dark South behind the scenes, and we came up with this. Like, the outfits that you see on my profile, like my portfolio, like on my Instagram and my Facebook and stuff, they are outfits that Dark South feels that are worthy of a portfolio, not necessarily outfits that I choose to wear in my everyday life. Okay? Like, does that make sense? Like, even these gold chains that I'm wearing, I wouldn't really wear them in a photo shoot anytime soon because, like, gold comes, like, in and out of style. But, like, if it was for me, just let me get this, like, off my chest. If it was up to me, okay, like, I would, this kind of like falls into the category of like, Mark, what do you wear every day? What can you not go without? What makes you tick? What excites you in fashion? You know, stuff like that. I'm really comfortable day to day, usually wearing a polo shirt, any type of shirt with a collar. Definitely a watch. You know, like a wristwatch, and then like I would say probably a hat, because I'm usually like a little bit shy when I go out in public. So like if I'm wearing a hat, I can kind of like, you know, like ease into whatever setting I'm in. Now, in my shoots, you don't see me wearing that. Like, I only go for what the theme calls for. You know, I wish I could wear a watch every time. I wish I could wear a hat every time. I was even out with a friend of mine the other day and I picked up a shirt that I'm going to model soon. He said he thought the shirt was hideous. I'm like, okay. You know, I chose the shirt because it's provocative and it's going to stand out. Not because it's like my flavor of the month, or I'm going to wear it to my next holiday. But there, hold on though, there are like outfits that I think of when I'm going to see my family where I'm like, oh, this is a good family outfit. Okay, cool. This isn't so provocative. You know, I could wear this in front of my family, etc., etc., etc. Because like when I'm with my family, I'm trying to be like low key and have conversation. I'm really not trying to stand out that much. So there's a lot that goes on in the mind with this, but when it comes to modeling, like, you're not thinking like, oh, this is my favorite shirt, I'm gonna wear this to a modeling shoot. Like, you're gonna end up wearing an outfit or something that you never thought you'd be seen in, and you just have to get past that, okay? Because, you know, people are gonna like call you a poser and this, that, and the other thing. Okay, poser's obviously a model, okay? Like, we have to get over that. That's one of the reasons why I'm here, okay? Because I'm a pro model and I'm gonna help push you along, okay? I don't care if you're wearing like ski pants and you've never skied before, okay? If you're gonna model them, that's what models do. That's what we're here for. That's why you're watching my movie. Okay, let's see. Okay, so before I segue, let me just get one more, like, a couple more facts in. Okay, your outfits always talk louder than words. Like, when you're showing your portfolio to somebody, okay, and you're like, hey, look, this is my portfolio, don't think in your mind what you think it is. Let them react to what they're looking at, and let them tell you what they think of it. Okay, you always think, like, I've been doing this so long, right, that like I always think in my mind like, oh yeah, this is my this look, and this is my that look, and this is my, you want to agree with them however they feel and make them feel a certain way however they feel when they look at the fashion message, the modeling message, all of that great stuff. Some poses you do could be somewhat painful. One tip and technique that I use when I pose is like, I don't breathe sometimes. I know that sounds crazy, but like sometimes I like hold my breath. And no, I'm not saying do that on every shoot. I'm saying that, you know, you want to really get the camera's attention, so you gotta like really like literally bend over backwards sometimes. This is modeling in the real world. Again, don't hurt yourself. Okay, I'm not saying stop breathing in every photo shoot. I'm just saying like get used to your circulatory system and how it flows, and learn how to hold a pose without hurting yourself. Always be safe. Safety is first, okay? Like, definitely. Alright, let's end this with... Okay, so like, you're looking for themes. You're looking for a theme. You're not looking for a name brand. Everything that you've seen in modeling before, it's most likely been done before. Okay, like, if I'm wearing a $100,000 watch or I'm wearing a $100 watch, there's a huge difference there. At the end of the day, both watches are white. I'm standing 12 feet away from the camera, so the camera's only going to get a certain amount of the watch. Like, when you're thinking in your mind, again, the best tip that I could give you is, do not think this is my favorite shirt. Do not think this is my favorite watch. Do not think this is my favorite pair of shoes. You are not modeling for yourself. You are modeling for others. Later on, I'll get into watch etiquette. Some people don't know how to wear a watch correctly, and we'll get into that in the next segment. I'm back here. This is Marq Antini, Darrk-66. We're getting back into the modeling world. Here to entertain you. Hope you enjoy it. See you in the next segment. Peace. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back again. My name is Marq Antini, Darrk-66, and we are back here with the next movie installment of modeling tips and tricks. I am doing modeling now on a pro level, which I'm very, very excited about. And I'm here to share my experiences and my professionalism with others who like to be models, either seriously or just something fun to do in your spare time. You know, I was really thinking about this, and I'm always trying to take it to the next level and try to make it better and try to make my dialogue help people more and more. I mean, everybody that I know like has a Facebook, you know, so like everybody has a picture of themselves. Wow, big surprise, right? But you know, you could even use this on that level to present yourself accordingly to, like, you know, a future spouse or a boyfriend, girlfriend, your family, etc., etc. Okay, so one tip and trick is hair on your head. Okay, there's so many ways that you can take care of your hair, and I'll probably come back to this like 100 to 200 more times in this movie series. Not in this particular movie, but I mean, it really never ends. You have to think of your hair as like a garden that, you know, needs to be nurtured. The land needs to be tilled, and you have to think of your scalp as like a garden or a farm or something like that. Two quick tips that I can give you to keep like a healthy head of hair. As you can see, my hair is actually one of my best attributes. Not to sound vain, but I always get compliments on my hair. You want to always drink a lot of water, no matter what, if you want to maintain your scalp health. And also, a supplement that you can use to increase and speed up your hair growth would be biotin. Those are two tips amongst many, many, many that I'll save for the future, that can help you grow your hair, regrow your hair, grow your hair longer, etc., etc. I could sit here for days. I think I could, honestly, when it comes to modeling and, you know, stuff that you got to do, I think I could make a channel just about hair, because it's so like focused on. And I started going to a salon, I would say like in my early 20s, I guess. Yeah. Started going to a salon, and I've been in and out of there. I've been to barbershops. I've been like all over the place, and I've talked to many people about hair growth, hair regrowth, maintaining it from the inside and out. I've seen results, and telling you, I could make a whole YouTube channel just on hair. I'm not even being sarcastic. So we're gonna get into the next thing, because there's other things that are like super important. I have something called a signature pose. I've been doing this pose for a long time. If you are fans of models, you'll see this, like, this thing. Like, you know how like you watch wrestling, like the wrestlers have like a signature move. This is kind of like the same thing, but mine is so refined because I've been doing it for so long that I even realized it subconsciously. I'm like, wow, I have like a signature pose now. I do this pose where I kind of like put my hand behind my hair or like behind my head. It's almost like I'm waving at you, but then I'm not. I'm just kind of like fixing my hair. So look for that. Look for my signature pose in my portfolio. You could find it in a few different places. That's for the more experienced models that take it really seriously. You know, and you develop a signature pose because of like what looks good. So, you know, okay, so keep that in mind. That's for the more experienced models. Okay, so now we're going to get into watch etiquette. This is something really important because this gets like misconstrued. A lot of people, I'm not going to say some, I'm going to say a lot of people really don't know this. And I'm going to explain this very simply. Like, when it comes to watches, right? Somebody just beeped. Let's see what's going on out there. Okay. Just being a good neighbor. So, all right, so we're back again. We were right in the middle of talking about watch etiquette, and this gets misconstrued a lot because I'm going to explain that, like I alluded to this in my last segment, which, like I guess, okay, like in the beginning of the movie, just to make a point. But with this modeling thing, like, you got to understand that you aren't walking, even if you're doing this on an amateur level, like, you don't wake up one day and say, okay, I'm ready to model. I'm wearing my favorite shirt. I'm wearing my favorite accessories. I'm wearing my favorite watch. I'm wearing my favorite shoes. I'm wearing my favorite jeans. That is not modeling. Okay? If that was modeling, I would not be a model. Being a model, you're going to get criticized. You're going to get put down. You're going to get made fun of. You're going to be ostracized in social circles, like, etc., etc. Like, you're really going to experience, like, more negative publicity more than anything else. And you have to be able to handle it. You have to be able to take it like a champ and take it professionally. Some of my other movies previously, like, definitely talk about that. People are going to think you're weird. People are going to think you're vain. They're going to think you're full of yourself. They're going to think all this negativity. So what I'm going to do is, before I get into watch etiquette, I'm going to explain something using another accessory. Today I happen to be wearing my favorite chain. Okay? Chain and pendant. This is my favorite chain and pendant. Okay? Really explains my personality a lot. I don't have to explain who I am when I walk into a room and I'm wearing this. My name is Marq Antini, Darrk-66. You can kind of see, like, the type of guy that I am without saying anything. That's why I really like this. And, you know, if you know who this character is, I don't have to get into details. It's a very famous movie, etc., etc. So, watch etiquette, this chain. Now, this is my favorite chain, okay? I don't wear this every single day, to every single place, in every single modeling shoot, in front of every single person, and just say, hey, look, this is my favorite chain. You want to see it? No. Segueing into watches. Watches are a tool and accessory for a businessman or businesswoman. You will use this tool to get other people's attention, to close business deals, to get them to notice you, to get them to understand that you're serious, you're on a certain financial level, etc., etc. You don't wake up in the morning and say, oh, this is my favorite watch, I'm going to wear this to my business meeting. I hope they like it. You are building a bridge when you're wearing a watch, male or female. You're building a bridge and you're saying, the fashion statement that's happening is, this is who I am. Period. Like, connect that to the chain, connect that to everything else, especially in modeling, because, like, if you're just going to pick your favorites and stand in front of the camera, you might as well just start your own clothing line. And you might as well just be like a fashion designer instead of a model, because that is not modeling. I don't know what that is. Like, I don't know. It's like, oh, this is my personal preference. This is what I like. You want to see my closet? Like, if that's what modeling was about, like, I wouldn't be a model. And more than half of the stuff that I wear, like, I don't even like. Like, I'll share a personal opinion. This is a personal opinion, okay? When they first came out with diamond watches, moissanite watches, in my opinion, first of all, for in my opinion, this is just my opinion. I think it's like it looks a little weird when like a male is wearing a lot of diamonds. I always thought, in my opinion, that diamonds were more for females. That's why they say like diamonds are a girl's best friend. But when they started doing that in this wave of like men wearing them, I had to conform a little bit to that like fashion sense, because like as a model you always have to be like relevant. Like relevancy is key in modeling, like whatever's in style. Now, I'm not saying like, okay, if you know somebody's wearing something really obtrusively obnoxious, that you have to wear that, but you have to somehow like bridge the gap to make it fashionable. That's your job. That's your job as a model, is to make it fashionable. And it has nothing to do with your opinion. If I sat here and showed you the outfits I like wearing on a daily basis in my day life, it would be totally irrelevant to my modeling life, because the modeling life, I'm at least mainstreaming myself and I'm showing you what I can do with today's fashion, how I can bring life to today's fashion. Does that make sense? It's kind of hard to understand, but think about that, let that sink in, and realize that my portfolio is not like this is what I wear to my day job, or like this is what I wear around my family, or like or even this is what I wear when I go on a date. Like when I go on a date with a female, I'm super conservative and I'm shy, and I'm usually like wearing a hat low to my eye. Like, I mean, I'm just saying, like there's like no modeling there when I go on a date. Like there's like zero modeling. It has like nothing to do with anything that I'm talking about. So think about that. Watch etiquette, and your watch etiquette fits into like modeling etiquette, because like this isn't like, all right, let's step inside my closet and see everything I have. Dot dot dot. You know. So really focus on that. Um, the last thing I'll leave you with in this segment is, don't do modeling for instant gratification. Everything today is, I'm doing this because there's a contract, and you know, I got my first modeling contract when I got back into it, like after a year. Like I had to work hard at it, and I've been doing it for like a long time. Like if this doesn't happen overnight, like just stick with it. Like just do it for fun. Is there anyone that does anything for fun anymore? So I'll leave you with that. I am Mark Antony, Darrk-66. Welcome to my modeling world. See you later. All right, ladies and gentlemen. We are back again. I am Mark Antony, Darrk-66. Welcome to my modeling world. And I am here to help you advance your modeling career, whether you do this as an amateur, a professional, or just as a hobby. All right, so let's jump right in here. Okay, this next section, I had to really think about this for a while, and I really got to a point where this next topic is so, how do I say this? This next topic is so difficult to put into words, to a point where you're like, think about this before I say it. This is more opinion based than fact based, but I'm gonna go off a past fact to make it part of my opinion and a fact today. That is a fact today. If you can follow that, you gotta rewind that to really make sense of all that. We're gonna talk about men's bags. This only applies to like men who actually wear bags. I would like to say that to start this one out. Sorry, I had something in my teeth. Okay. This is obviously for men that wear bags, or carry bags, or use bags. At the same time, if you are interested in wearing a bag, I can give you like parameters to follow and what the history was back then, what it is now, what's acceptable, and I'm going to tie that and I'm going to segue into my next topic. Okay, so I want to say that I bought my first bag about 10 years ago. I'm not going to say the retailer I bought it from, but it was like a real leather bag. It was my first real leather bag. I was like really proud of myself that I bought it. Got it for around $100, real leather. I still have it. I use it on occasion, but it's not like one of my favorites. Let's just put it that way. And bags 10 years ago for men or unisex, okay, meaning that like women, it's more typical for a woman to carry a bag, but a man can carry a bag, or some men have to carry bags. Me, I'm the type of man that has to carry a bag. Like, I absolutely 100% need a bag. I need a bag because, like, I tell my friends, I tell my business partners, like, I'm the type of guy where I have, like, I think I'm going on, like, my fourth phone. In a few months, I should have about, like, 4 to 6 phones that I use for business. I use for different apps because I'll have a phone for an app that I use. Now, that's a lot of phones for one guy to have, but it's all for this business that we do on here that you see, right? Right now, I steady have 3 phones, so I can't sit down with 3 phones in my pocket. I mean this in a really humble. I'm gonna try to say this as humble as possible. Like, I don't know about you, but like I I'm gonna try to say this humbly. My wallet is too big to put in my pocket. Okay, and that's just a fact. So I put my wallet in my bag. My keys are a different story. I don't say where I keep my keys at, but if I'm sitting down and like, first of all, I am not the guy that puts his wallet in his back pocket. I just don't do that. I've never done that. So there's my justification for wearing a bag. Okay, because people are going to make their judgments anyway, but that's the truth. Okay. So I got that off my chest. Now, 10 years ago when I got my first bag, and what was in style was for a man to wear a bigger bag. Nowadays, they make men's bags and women's bags about the same size. And it's really, really hard to tell the difference because, like, I usually go for like a black bag or a brown bag to keep it like super masculine. But nowadays, in the year 2025, like a man could wear a woman's bag, but there's like a gray area where it's like, okay, like this is a unisex bag. You know what I mean? So, like, even though, like, in other words, like, let's just say that, keep it really unisex. Let's say, like, I got a Nike bag, and the Nike bag says woman's on it, but it has a thicker strap because it's a sports bag. Like, who cares? Like, a man could wear it. Like, that's just the time. Now, also, in the same sentiment, and this is just my opinion, and it has nothing to do with anybody's, like, you know, gender or sexuality or anything. Like, I think if you present yourself as a man, you shouldn't have a bag that's like, like a pink flower bag. You could wear a pink flower shirt, but not a pink flower bag. Or something that's so exquisitely feminine that you just know that it's a woman's bag. So that's the way to put it that way. Now, I'm going to go off this and I'm going to segue into the next thing. One of the best ways to get noticed as a model, okay, is to be in touch with your masculine side and be in touch with your feminine side and be able to, like, almost like shapeshift. Like, okay, I enjoy taking care of myself. I enjoy taking care of my skin. That's obviously someone who's in touch with their feminine side. I like to go hiking in the great outdoors and, hunt animals. That's, masculine. Let's just say that. But now, because the barriers have been broken, men and women can, do things that, um, you know, there's no barrier to like gender roles anymore, and that has surfaced into fashion and so on and so forth. Would you ever catch Marq Antini Darrk-66 with like a pink flower bag? I don't think so. But if the bag is suitable and it's not screaming like this doesn't match, or this is made for a man, or this is made for a woman, keep that in mind because fashion sense is really important. This is made for, that's why there's a women's section and a man's section in stores, and really it depends on how you present yourself. But there's a gray area where it's like, okay, this is unisex because of the time we're in, and how things have evolved and changed in fashion year after year after year after year. Okay, if we sat here and we looked at the year 1970, there would obviously be some differences. That's just with time, how times go. Now, as a model, you want to be able to go to that gray area as much as you possibly can, and say to yourself, because really you're always trying to represent, you're always trying to cover as much ground as possible for both genders and be like, such and such, such and such, and if there's ever a gray area that's been bigger, it's in the time that we're living now. So, if you're into modeling, try to hit that gray area as much as possible without trying to cross dress and like I said, this is a free country. If that's your thing, you're modeling for, cross dress style thing, like, I'm not here to judge anybody, but that's not my thing. I stick to, masculine style, but I will try to hit the unisex area as much as possible, because in today's day and age, I'm repeating myself, there's more unisex stuff now than ever. And, you know, we'll just use an example of that. It's like the jogger pants that everybody wears. You know, they were originally, I would say, made for women. You know, like the tight spandex jogger pants, and then, you know, men started wearing them because they started getting a better workout at the gym. That's how unisex stuff comes about, because there's a purpose for it, and then it becomes a fashion statement. So just keep that in mind. That's, I really thought really hard about that one, but definitely, like, keep thinking about that gray area. And if you're going to start wearing a merce, a man's purse or a bag or something like that, just keep that in the back of your mind, that it's how you wear it, it's how you present it. Hit the gray area, saying like, okay, like, you know, could a man wear this? Could a woman wear this? Think about it, look at it, you know, and think about the type of message that you're sending based on what you're trying to project in your image. And, you know, in other words, don't always think about yourself. Like, oh, I'm a man, so I have to go do, you know, like, think unisex. And, you know, tap into that. And, you know, anything that's acceptable for both a man and a woman, outside of anything that looks awkward, is what you want to go for in modeling generally, without changing your identity and without looking too ostentatious. Does that make sense? Right. Exactly right, because this is really easy to talk about. So, you know, yeah. All right, so next topic. Wow, you really gotta tell you, man, if you're watching these modeling movies, you really gotta put your thinking cap on. It's like taking a college class over here, right? Okay, so next topic. You don't want to copy exactly what somebody does verbatim. Like, even me, like, okay, like, you know, I'm a pretty good model. Been doing this for a pretty long time, to the point where, like, you know, I could teach my own modeling class, or, you know, I could teach you how to be successful. In the world of modeling, you want to soak up like as much fashion sense as you can from different sources. You know, if you're strictly a model that works for one company, and you're just staying with that one company, and you're working for that company like once a year for the next 30 years, like, okay. But now with the technology at our hands, there's more opportunities now than ever before. Like, in other words, when I got with my company, Dark South Limited, right? Sitting there with Dark South. Dark South is, you know, not a huge group of people. It's just really two people. It's just me and one other person, and we're, well, actually two other people, because I have my own accountant. We have our own accountant, right? So we're sitting there and we're like, okay, so we're gonna make Marq Antini Darrk-66 a model. Again, I am Marq Antini Darrk-66, but this is like behind the scenes of Dark South, right? So we're like, okay, we're gonna make him a model, and, you know, we're gonna model. We're gonna take pictures. Okay, good. So I was like looking at my photographer, and we're trying to think of, like, you know, like ways to make like more money. Obviously, that's what you do in a business. That's why you're in a business, right? To make money. And we're like, okay, so, like, you know, we would do modeling movies, I guess. I'm like, what do you mean movies? Like, I'm like, what, you want me to be a movie star? Right? And he's like, yeah, we could do some acting, but just like talk about the modeling and like make it like a. I mean, it wasn't. I'm saying it wasn't his idea. It was more my idea because I had already been talking about music because you could talk about music for like hours and hours and hours. And I'm like sitting there like, I'm like, wait a second, I'm gonna start making modeling movies. I'm like, people are gonna think I'm so weird. Like, how do you talk about this? And he's like that's the point. You don't, like, not a lot of people do. It's something that's really hard to talk about. And I was like, have you ever seen that show America's Next Top Model? He's like, no, I've never seen that. I was like, oh, okay. Right, right, okay. Well, that was a show that was around where people actually talked about it. He was like, well, why don't you talk about it? And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I guess I will, right? So here we are, trying to nail this on the head for you viewers and bring you behind the scenes of my world, which is not easy at all. Not in any sense of the word. But in other words, it wasn't just, it's like, don't copy others. Oh, this person's a model and they just post pictures like, I'm a model and I do a little bit of acting and I do a little bit of singing and I talk about it on YouTube and other people are too scared to talk about it or it's too weird to talk about. Like, just think of it in a sense of the best way you can do it. You don't even have to do it the way that I do it. You can post, a model shoot once every 3 years if you want to, and mail your pictures into New York City and try to get them to notice you. I'm just doing it at a comfortable level now where I'm getting income from it, and I'm comfortable just like chilling here talking about it. But that's what I mean by don't copy what others do. Just do what you do, because it's like, one, you want to like stay in your own lane, and two, it's like you got to do it so it matches what your goals are in terms of your life, etc., etc. If this becomes my main career, I'll be traveling the world. I'll be, but we'll see what happens. Stay tuned, right? Okay, so the other stuff that I have here in my notes is more of like technical stuff. I think we really got into like some deep stuff with the bags, the man bags, Merces, and do what you do. I think there's a big chunky segment on that alone. And one other unique thing I did was, I decided to start my portfolio when I was slightly overweight. I don't recommend that to other models because it looks weird, but I knew that coming back into the model scene, I wanted to have like a story. And I wanted to promote weight loss because that was the hottest thing on social media at that time. And I just checked on the scale the other day. Since I started this, I officially lost 25 pounds, which I'm actually very, very proud of. And I'm continuing to lose weight. I'm definitely either hitting the gym either tomorrow or the day after. Keep my working out schedule up and going. But that's something that I wanted to do individually. Are there models that should take pictures when they're overweight? No, because you'll probably destroy your career. I knew that's something that I wanted to do for my modeling portfolio and my modeling career, and I just stuck to it. I didn't look at my favorite model and follow exactly what they did. I didn't look at this model and follow exactly what they did. I did what was good for my business at my time to capitalize the way I saw fit for what society needed at that time. That's how you should do it. And that's how you do business. You do business to bring your individuality into the business and to make money off of it. So there you go. I'm going to leave you with that. This movie's action packed with tips, tricks, real life scenarios, real modeling opportunities, and the whole modeling world unfolds when you watch these movies. And I also play Rockstar, so you could watch my other movies and see me talk about music and give you tips in music and stuff. It's just totally action packed. My name is Marq Antini Darrk-66. My company is Dark South Limited. Check us out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all that social media. Love doing this for you guys. It's still summer. It's going to be fall soon, 2025. I'm back in this movie star stuff. Love doing it. Love entertaining y'all. See you later.